Here in the UK, we're known as a nation of pet lovers, but I know that many of you out there will be pet lovers too. If that's you and you wish to paint your own pet, then you're in the right place. Hello, I'm Jackie Smurden and this is Dunnock Studio, Art with a Heart from the heart of Norfolk, UK. I'm here to help you with all your painting problems, to get you started and to enjoy painting. Today's workshop is painting my own dog Millie. My husband and I have only just lost our dog and we're very upset, and I know a lot of you will completely understand that feeling. So today I decided to paint Millie, and I didn't want to paint her on my own, so I decided to paint her with you. So I hope you will help me get through this and wish me all the luck in producing a nice painting that I can put on the wall of our dog Millie. Today I'm using Saunders Waterford paper, which is 100% cotton and is a cold pressed or not surface, so it's got a bit of texture, and that helps me because I enjoy textures, and we're going to do animal fur. So what I've done here is printed off a picture of Millie in black and white, and I've just used a very simple way of transferring an image if you want to get it accurate, and in this instance I want to get it accurate. So I've used something called trace down paper, which is like, for those of you old enough to remember, carbon paper. It's very similar, but it's not as messy. So all I've done is traced through and left a very faint imprint of the outside markings, etc. So it's just literally drawing on top of this piece of black and white A4 paper, enough to make it come through on the back. I appreciate you can't really see that, not very well anyway, but it's a real simple way of doing a quick transfer down. And then I'm now going to add some lines in to reinstate them so that I can see them better, and so can you. So I've just strengthened the lines slightly so that you can hopefully see where they go. You will have noticed that I used a black and white photo to scribble over, and I also use this as a reference to help me find my dark values and my light values, because I find it incredibly difficult when you're using colour photos to see that. Obviously on this picture, if you were working on the chair, that's an obvious light value, but when you get into all these mid-tones it can be quite hard to see what's light and what's dark. So going black and white really does help you. That's a good tip. So let's put some paint on this and see what happens. I've no idea what's going to happen. I just thought I would just explore it today, just see what colours speak to me and what I want to do. So let's go for it. So my first washes are going to be across the background and across Millie. So I've decided that Millie is going to have some pinks going on here. So this is any sort of crimson type of cool pink, so a red that's got a little bit of blue in it. And I haven't wetted the paper first, so I'm just going to run some of this around various areas, see what I like and what I don't like. Her collar has got, I know, is pink on her little name tag there. So maybe we'll have some around her head up here. Just very soft. This is all going to be quite washy. This is cotton paper, so it will absorb it. She has also got these lovely sort of eyebrows, if you like, above her eyes there, and a lovely, let's give her Quin Gold, one of the nicest colours you could put into a gold part of an animal. Now the rest of her is quite dark. I'm not going to go down that route of making everything too dark, or I might have just overdone it there slightly. Let's quickly water this down, pull this around a little bit, There's a little mark here that I really want to try and keep free, which I've failed. Quick, lift that out. There we go. This is where she's got a little white mark. Let's just let this flow into her ears, down her body. This bit's dry quite quick. It's fine. Washing that around there. A little puddle there. Okay, get rid of that one. Just let that come off there. And I think I'd like some green around the rest of it, but I'm going to give it a chance just to dry off a little bit. Just pop that down for a minute. Doesn't look very nice at the moment, does it? But let's just do a little bit of tilting, get some of this to move. So if there's some hard edges appearing, this is where you can pop in and sort them out. I'm not doing this particularly correctly today, it's just want to get some feelings down really. And thank you all for being with me, because it's nicer to share these things, isn't it, rather than just get upset on your own. So there we go. Soften these edges. This is the great thing about cotton paper, you can work into it. I'm waiting for these edges just to go slightly more sheeny so that I can drop my green around the edge of the picture without it all going straight into the middle. So whilst that's busy working, I'm going to just pick up some yellow. I've got a very weak wash from what I was doing yesterday here. And let's put a bit of ultramarine in. There we go. It's got a bluey area. Now I want to go back and make a yellowy area, like so. And let's see what happens if I just pop these in around this area. See if it starts to... I'd like it if it's softened back into this area so that the ear is not quite such a hard mark. We'll see how that goes. Just letting these colours mix on the page. Haven't got any expensive paints here. This is just a normal quality watercolour. I think I've got Winsor & Newton in here and some Van Gogh, which I recently bought, which are very nice and simple, not expensive. Winsor & Newton I've got is the Cotman range, which is the student quality, but I think they're very, very nice quality paints. Just mixing this on here. I've got a hard edge here that's arrived next to the pink. So it's actually quite a nice contrast between the pink and the green, but I'm not quite sure about that edge. So let's just soften those all off. Well, if that's not enough to upset me, the watercolour paint has just created a heart. I have no idea, I didn't even notice that happening. Wow, the serendipity of watercolour. So that has got to stay in. Wow, I'm going to have a little break. Okay, this is now dry and I've been off to have a little break because this appearing was, yeah, quite emotional. Just a beautiful watercolour heart that's popped itself right in the middle of Millie's chest where her heart would be. So make what you will of that. Right, so now I'm going to try not to ruin this. I'm going to add some of the darker shapes that are on her face. So where she's got some dark areas around here, her nose, obviously where the shadows are, we'll try and give it a look of 3D. So this is dry, there's a slight bit of dampness left in it. So I'm just going to add a little stronger colour in some areas where I want to highlight her shapes, etc. So for instance, around the muzzle, we've got this lovely shape here and here. You can probably tell I'm not overthinking the detail here. I'm just going to put shapes in. Try not to think of these as pieces of ear and pieces of nose. Just trying to do, there's a shape, a shadow. So that's the Quin Gold back on. And I did fib a little bit earlier because I am using an expensive paint, and that is Daniel Smith Amethyst Genuine, which has beautiful sparkle effect when you catch the light with it. So let's see if I've mixed this up thick enough. May not have done. So I'm now going to bring that around this area. Oh, I think it could be a little bit. Trouble is, when these tubes are this small, you really don't want to be using very much, do you? So I'm definitely a bit of one of those people who doesn't like to use or waste paint. So if you're the same, you're in good company. So I'm just going to try and follow this round where I can see the shapes. If you struggle to do this because you're constantly trying to paint something like an eye, then turn your paper upside down, turn your reference over so it's upside down. That could help you to see the shapes as light and dark, not and as shapes, not as parts of what you can see in front of you. I know this is a dog. I know this is my dog. Sometimes you need to stop thinking like that, help your brain to work out the shapes. We're doing okay here, so I'm going to keep going. Another little tip is to link together your shadow shapes if you can. Sometimes that just makes things look better. So I'm coming in here where I think this is going to go. It's all quite dark around here, and I've just realised I've missed a band of gold across her nose there. Pop that one on. Her chin under here is definitely going to be dark, so let's pop that. It's going to merge slightly with her little part of her lower lip there. That's good because it's softened that. I'm using a Jackson's Raven brush here. Do like their mop brushes, but I'll be honest, when I bought this I thought I was getting a gigantic mop brush, and it's tiny, but it became one of my favourite brushes. If you're confused about brush sizes, I have got another video on that, and that will show you that you're definitely not the only person to be confused by brush sizes, because they're all different depending on the manufacturer, which is not helpful when you're learning. There we go, pop in a bit more of these darks in. This is the messy phase. It's not going to look good. What is she doing? Why is she putting that there? It doesn't look right. So let's pop a little bit under here. This is the collar. I'm not going to be adding any more detail to that because it's not a painting about a collar. I'm going to come around this heart shape here. Just do some rough brush strokes down there, just to suggest some fur, etc. Let's have a shadow on her back. Down here, we don't need detail down here because this is not our focal area. So if it's not quite working, soften your brush with some damp water. I've got blooms earlier, but I don't mind blooms. I'm quite happy to have blooms everywhere. It is not a problem. If you don't like blooms, be a little bit more careful than I am. This line here is quite harsh, isn't it? Let's get some of that loosened up a bit. Okay, let's work around the face a little bit. It's just, all I'm doing is washing my brush out, dabbing it on a towel, and just softening some areas where I think they need it. Is there a correct way to do this? Not really. It's quite instinctive. Is what you think is too harsh and what you think you'd like to look softer. And that only comes with practice. Painting. There we go. That's looking better. It's a bit softer. Whilst this nose is still damp, I'm going to pick up some nice dark that I've made with burnt sienna, ultramarine blue and a touch of the amethyst. Not too much because I don't want to waste it on dark areas, but there we go, just drop them in while it's still soft. Now they might blur a bit too much, but we'll see how they go. Could do the eyes now. I won't do the middle, but I will just pop some lines around the edge of them that can then run off into what I've previously put on there. Hopefully make a soft edge like so, something like that. Perhaps we need a shadow this side. Must be careful not to overdo the dark there though. Let's go back to the amethyst and pull that round from the top, link that eye line there to that bit and then soften this away. And over here it's spread right out, so let's link it into that area as well. These areas have dried quite quickly. Just going to pop some of that Quin Gold into this nose. Again, if it goes spreading off into the purple, which it has done, that's fine. Nice effects going on there. And just see if I can do a little bit of marks in from the side here, just to suggest that comes a bit further in. Oh, that's not working, don't like that. Stop overdoing it, Jackie. Okay, got a few stragglers and things going on there, but that's good, I like that. Down here, which just off camera, this part here, I don't like this. So whilst that's settling, I'm going to squeeze out a piece of magic eraser, also known as household cleaning sponge, which is quite rough and quite tough. You can buy it in the supermarket. I have just found some, having been telling people for ages. Those were in a supermarket. If you buy them from an art shop, they cost a lot more money, but it is a cleaner. So there we go. So if you can find them, they're white, they're quite abrasive, that's why they're in the cleaning aisle. But I'm going to use them to lift out some shapes here. You have to be quite careful not to overdo this. There we go. A little bit texture. That can work really well on pictures where you've got lots of background colour. Every now and again you need to rinse it out, squeeze it right out. Let's put a little bit there, I'm not going to do any more than that. And just dab a towel over them. Texture, instant texture. Who knew? Okay, where are we? Excuse me, magic erasers, you need to go back over there. Right, just going to let that settle and come back to it in about 5 minutes. Over on this side, I need to define the edge of Millie so I know where she is, and this is background. So I'm just going to pick up some random greens here using a fairly big brush. Just follow in the pencil line that we put there earlier and see what happens. Just trying to define, and this is where you sometimes do need your reference picture to help you. So I'm going to go right up in there. She's around her muzzle, around the collar. Started off with a very big brush, but this is the beauty of these brushes. You can go with a very, see if you roll your brush like that, you can make a beautiful point even with something this big, and just pop down into that corner there. Don't have to cover the whole of the background up. Sometimes parts popping through can look really effective. Pick up some yellow as I go around, just so I'm varying the colour a little bit. Let's have some up here. Big brush strokes. We're keeping it loose today. enjoying it. Some more dark green. Let's pop a bit blue into it. We're coming down the body here. Just make sure we pick up on all of that. Down the side, across. Then down here it's going off and then on its own journey. We don't know what's happening down there, so all we're going to do in a minute is just soften that. So quick splosh. Just soften this edge away very gently so you don't lift the paint underneath. So we don't need this to be detailed. We just need the outline of Millie to just show a little bit more. There's soften some of these. That one there, for instance. There we go. If you're not liking some of the bits popping through, just blend them in. So we can do exactly the same thing along her back. Just pop in some blues and greens together next to some yellow areas as well, so we're going to get a mixture of colours. Just going to come down this side. It's quite an opaque yellow, that one, so we're trying to keep it away from that pink. Pick up the blue, pop in there, pick up some green. Let's see where that line is. There it is. And that's quite dark anyway, so I'm not worried about going there. Doesn't matter if we cover some of these other areas up, it's fine. In fact, I might get rid of some of that turquoise type of blue that accidentally got in there earlier. I'm not sure about that. There we go. I'm doing very bold colours here. We're celebrating a life here and capturing the fun. Soften that. Sometimes these things don't want to be softened. There we go. Good old dab with the towel, that'll solve some of the problems. Oop. There you go. So now you can see that's brought her body forward a little bit more. We can always add a little bit more dark. In fact, let us do that now. I'm going to go to a slightly different brush. It's a round, not a mop, just so that I can pick up some of this amethyst again and just maybe just highlight a little bit more dark here. One thing I think YouTube should introduce is the ability for you, when you're watching and somebody puts something in the way like their head, or they forget to move the painting to suit the view and you can't see anything. Wouldn't it be great if you could shout and say, move your picture, get your head out of the way? But maybe in the future that's exactly the sort of thing that would happen. Just suggesting there that there's a space in between the ring there, but I'm not going to go into massive detail there. Just adding a little bit more dark here because I didn't quite use enough earlier, because I'm thinking I don't want to overuse this paint, but that's what paint's for after all. Suggest some fur. There we go. Dry brushing, I'm just dragging the brush sideways. I've actually got so dry, it's too dry. Let me just try that again. Oops, picked up the wrong colour. Now, when you pick up Queen Gold and you've already got violet, you end up making a grey. So it's actually a really nice colour. As some of you who may have watched earlier videos will know, my favourite colour combination is ultramarine and burnt sienna. Well, this is very similar really. We're looking at a gold and a violet. Just got a splodge there, there we go. So I'm thinking that I'm just sort of taking this around for some shape really. Not sure about this area, whether I've just ruined it. And I think I need to move up a brush size again. You end up fiddling with the small brush. Let's just soften this away. I'm so pleased with that heart in the middle. I really don't want to lose it. pull that all away. And just for safety's sake, I'm going to lay that over that middle area and tonk that off. There's another word for you, tonking, just lifting off. Used a lot in oil painting. Okay, don't know what that is there. Not sure about that. Hopefully while you're watching this you can see that all these adjustments are just to suit me. You might not have noticed what I've just changed because it wasn't bothering you. Or you might have seen it ages ago and thought, oh, I wish Jackie would get rid of that now because it's really annoying. So it's just a case of you're tweaking your own picture, and if you try and copy a picture directly, it's always going to be difficult because you can't, your brain doesn't work the same as mine. You're not going to see the same things that you want to change. I'm just putting some suggestions of fur marks, but again I've used up more of my paint. I need some more. This is a good use for it though, isn't it? Might have just slightly overworked it down here, but hey. So just put in some fairly broad, just sort of suggesting some fur running down here, I think. Let's get rid of that. I don't like that. There we go. Right, I'm in danger of overworking all of that area, so I'm going to stop. Round the collar I know we've got a buckle, etc. I'm not going to worry too much about that yet, see if it needs anything later. So going back to the face, and I'm just going to define the top of her head because it's a bit lost, isn't it? Now I could do that another way by bringing dark colour around here like we did with the green, but I don't really want to because her head is darker than the background. So I'm just going to reinstate that with some brush strokes, but again I'm not going to cover everything up. Sometimes less is more. Just suggesting that there's some extra layers there. Just put a bit around that little white area, and then into a little bit of fur, if I can get my point to work, coming out of her ear because she has lovely fur. There we go. And same here, just a little tiny suggestions, a bit like painting feathers on a bird. Just don't try and do all of them. Just suggest that there's something going on that's textury, and that actually comes down further than I first had it. So I'm using the point of the brush, trying to join some of these shapes together. That's quite nice, I like that. Stop before I ruin it. Same on this side. It's a little bit less texture than you can see on the other side. Because this is a fairly dark colour, I can get away with painting into that green, and also violet is going to go quite well with the green. It's darker here, so I'm going to pop a bit more in. That's going to help bring the jawline out. Down here. Like so. And then whilst it's still damp on her head, you can just drop in some thicker paint. Can you see how that's spreading out? It's not a harsh blob, and that's a nice bit of wet paint in there. I'm just going to link that shape there and that shape there. So you can add paint if the original wash is still damp, but when you add the paint, make sure you add it a little bit thicker than the last amount you popped in. So again, there's a on her, where her ear joins her head, if that's damp enough I should be able to put that line in, but it softens and runs away from it, so it's not harsh, like so. So that's sort of framing her face, isn't it? Now I'm instinctively painting now. I'm not really looking at that photograph. Occasionally I'm just double checking. Although I've got a nice soft edge here, I'm going to just go over this and using the point of my brush, very gently suggest fur there. Squeeze out the brush, just gently take that away, like so. And just make a dark mix. Now I'm going to use the Quin Gold and a bit of the purple. It's a little bit runny, don't want this to be too runny. That's better. That's slightly too regular here, so it's still damp, so look, see how that spreads? So it's because it's still damp, I can manoeuvre this and get rid of that shape, which was a bit like a tooth comb, and also take that shape under there. There we go. Make sure it's dark under here as well. Then wash, rub the brush dry, just soften that away, soften that away. Still not liking that under her chin, that's just too harsh. There you go. It's better. Okay, just let that rest and dry while I have a last look and see what I think needs doing. So I've had a little look, I've taken the picture away and I'm now going to just insert, if it worked, a little short video I took on my phone of the violet colour sparkling in the sunshine where the picture was drying, just so you can see it, because it's very hard to show you top down like this what this paint actually looks like in the light. So yes, Amethyst Genuine. If you're painting some type of dark animal or background or anything dark, you want it to have a bit of life, this colour is pretty amazing, but very expensive, so you wouldn't want to be using it in your background washes particularly. So I'm now going to pop in some Quin Gold over these eyes. Now I know they're brown in the picture, but I'm going to just go for the bold gold. Again, not going to overthink the detail, I'm just going to make sure that touches the bottom there. I know the top of her eye is dark, so that can go in later. Let's just pop that in there. I think this gold is going to work really well because we're highlighting some very pretty little eyes here. Now I've lost the light there, so if that happens, if you're quick enough, you can dab it off again. There we go. There's a little bit of stain left, but that doesn't matter, does it? And I've also noticed that around here, this muzzle area is gold, but I need some more violet over here. So I'm just going to use this brush, because I've got this Quin Gold on it, just to reinstate some of this around here again, and maybe under here. Do you notice how I'm leaving little gaps? You don't have to have it completely covering everything up. And you get these layers then, it just gives you that effect of being able to see the layers that have created your painting, and just makes it more interesting. There is a little tiny line which all you dog lovers will know that pops down there, and whoops, did that too soon, didn't I? It's giving a bit of texture, but let's just lift that out. So we need to leave this a little bit longer. I can add a dark in here again, which is dry this time, just to suggest those nostrils again. It's just determined to go over there. Well, if you're determined, paint, there we go. I'm going to let it go this side as well then. See if it likes it this side. Sometimes you just have to go with it. It's quite dark along here, so let's assume it's dark all the way along there. Now it's beginning to start to settle, so I'm now going to just, I've picked up thicker paint, I haven't got much water in. Let's see if I'm too soon. By adding this violet into the wash we just popped on, I'm going to get a grey violet and some marks going on there. So is that what we want? Is that too much? Too much, isn't it? Way too much. It will dry paler, but that's just too much. Just lift them out, there we go. Okay, probably okay. And quick wash. And I'm going to just put some violet here. In fact, I did miss quite a good bit of shadow area here. Pop that around there. Just got to tuck that right down there. Don't mind if that runs into there because that will soften it. This area here is paler. So let's just pull that in here. Wash the brush, squidge it out. Just soften all of that into that area there. Now I've defined the edge of this ear, so I might just cut in a little bit. That's better. She also needs a little bit more violet down this side, but that ear is already dark, so let's go really dark here. Still not dark enough, like so. And then we're just going to drag that back up. If you haven't already worked out by now, for those of you who are new to this channel, I do not do quick videos, and quite often I plan to do quick videos and it never quite works out. So if you like long videos with very few jump cuts, then you're in the right place. If you don't, you probably, well, you'll have already gone, wouldn't you? But for those of you who enjoy it, I had a lady put a very nice comment on. She watches videos through first and then goes back to them when she's ready to paint. That's a great idea. I might start doing that as well. Okay. Oh, she's coming to life now. Got to be careful I don't sob all over the painting. Okay. Let's just going to add just some light lines here. No, they're a bit fussy, aren't they? Make them a little bit stronger. Just to suggest that fur. Can use the side of the brush again. We did a lot of that earlier, so I know I'm going to probably overdo that. So that's just need to do something about this edge here. And again, as I said to you before, this is my preference. I'm just annoyed by that edge. You might not be. So just getting some damp, but I'm also just trying to work some marks in. Yet more amethyst genuine. This painting's cost me a fortune, but she's worth it. This one's going on the wall. Okay. So they're just a bit more dark into that again. Don't really know how else to do that. If that hadn't appeared on the picture, I would have brought the hair down a lot further, but I think we're just going to work with that. Soften a little bit in places, maybe. Okay. Right, Millie Pops, your heart is there. So just need something on the collar here to suggest we've got the buckle, etc. So I'm just going to mix the Quin Gold and the violet, which is basically what Millie's been painted with, and just paint in a couple of marks. So it's a sort of a dark brown, this one, which is fine. That works with what I'm trying to achieve here. And this collar part needs to go into shadow, doesn't it? So I've clearly forgotten to do that earlier. Do I need a line? Probably. There's the definite line of the collar. Need a shadow. Don't want to add any new colours into this, so I'm just going to go back to where we started in that beautiful pink that appeared and add a little bit of the violet to the pink, and then just shadow this area in using that. Link that together. We've also got a ring here, but it's not a painting about a collar, so I'm not going to fuss with that. So that worked quite well. Probably need to let that dry and then just give that a little shadow glaze as well. In the meantime, just going to pull around the corner here, and there's an opportunity to pop in and negatively paint round that ear. There we go. It's okay. The collar's less standing out now. That's much better, isn't it? So that is starting to dry. I'm just tilting, it's settling. It's a soft sheen. I'm not going to do anything more with that. So although she's got her collar tag here, which is there, I haven't highlighted it anymore because we've got this going on. So and I had no control over that. If you re-watch my video, I can promise you it's not CGI. I have no idea what it is actually, but we're going with it. Now the eyes I put in earlier are still quite wet, so I need those to dry off a little bit. If you've got a puddle of paint sitting on there, sometimes if you squeeze your brush out, you can just slurp up the excess. It's a thirsty brush technique. There we go. I don't want to overdo that because I like the colour. So I must now let that dry again, so I have a little break. So I've had a little look, I've turned this picture upside down, and I think I need some more, just a little more darker along here. And then I'm going to do the eyes. And I need you all, everybody out there, to just keep your fingers crossed when I do the eyes, because I do not want to ruin this picture. Hopefully you're rooting for me. I would recommend you do this for your own pets, or if you know someone who's lost a pet. It's something really lovely that you can do to just hopefully make their world a little bit less lonely in the first few days following the pet loss. Okay, so right, I'm going for it. It's a clean brush. I've mixed a dark, and it is just the cream gold and the violet. Whoops, had to ruin your picture, Jackie. Throw your brush on it. And I'm just going to go in, picking up fairly thick paint, but I don't want it to be black, so I'm using the two colours in the dog, violet and queen gold. Just pick up a little bit more violet, because just need to make sure that this is dark. Where are we? There we go. Not quite there yet. Don't tell me you're going to have to use more of this violet. I've spent a fortune today. It's not strong enough, guys, so yes, more amethyst is going in. I'm going to have to use this as a background wash on something rather than waste it. There we go. That's better. Lovely dark. Touch more of the gold. Got a lovely warm browny goldy purpley yummy mix there. So again, I'm not going to cover up all of the areas on the eye because that will lose the details. Let's give you a slightly better view on what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna, there's no detail on my picture really to speak of, so I'm going to make it up. And of course you know your pet, so you know what you need. Seriously, you do know, and you will know, so don't be afraid to give this a go. I've got to leave the highlight, got to make sure my head and my hand isn't in your way. Pop that in there, and then across here, link that to there. One. Phew, got one done. Slightly vary the colour in this one a little bit, and then do the same thing. I'm just following that line around the highlight. I've got 2 highlights left on this one, so I can afford to lose one of them. Coming down from that dark shade there up, let's take a little bit of that one out. Done. Yep, I'm happy with that. I'm not going to fiddle with those anymore, and I hope I haven't overdone the darkness. But if you leave a little highlight, then you're away. If you don't, do not panic, because we can add gouache, gouache, body colour, white ink, anything you like. Do not ever worry about adding something on top of your watercolours. It's your painting, and Turner did it, so don't see why we shouldn't either. So I've given her some dark eyes. They are going to dry slightly lighter, but I'm just a little bit worried that I've over egged them, so I've just squeezed my brush out. I'm just going to lift a little out with a thirsty brush, so my brush is just damp but not wet. There we go, just that's better. It's a little bit more variation in the eye, and whilst I'm there, dangerous territory this is. Whilst I'm there, I've got some more amethyst with a tiny bit of the gold, and I'm just going to run along the eye. Hopefully you can see, so that some of that runs in, but also it continues around the eye and around here, just so it making sure that that links in to the shapes around it. And the same on this side. So this bright patch here doesn't need to be there anymore. That eye there, a little bit more amethyst. So this lovely colour, it doesn't go that dark when you paint with it, so you do need to add something else into it. Got a light here, but I'm not sure I need that, so just get rid of that. And then we're back to this area where we've got the dark here. Let's just redefine that. Now I'm just tweaking the nose, a little dark area in each of those. It's getting there, isn't it? And then along here, it goes quite so close as we went last time. Do we need to just take that up a little bit here? Oh, I've got the shakes. There you go. And soften that away, trying my hardest not to lift off the colour underneath. Just soften some of this a little bit. Don't want it too hard. I think I am just about there, and I think that this is very much our dog Millie, and I'm so proud that I've managed to capture her and not cry all over the painting, because that would have been quite embarrassing, but I'm sure you guys would have looked after me if I had. Just going to pick up some violet to get rid of this, which we were waiting to turn into a shadow earlier, and that's it. I think I am done. So just going to let that settle and dry, and just grab a mount so we can have a proper look. So there's lovely little Millie with a mount, and I'm absolutely loving this picture. It is a watercolour, it's done its own thing, and well, completely knocked me for 6 when this appeared. I hope you enjoyed that, and hope you'd have a go at painting your own pet. And if you don't have a pet but you're good at painting, why not paint a friend's pet? Just to reiterate on the colours, I've used a cool lemon, this yellow, sorry, this is Aureolin, but any cool colour will do. French ultramarine, Quin Gold, and Amethyst Genuine, which hopefully you could see on the videos I took on my phone, how it sparkles in the light. So I'm now off to see if I can find a frame for this and get it straight up on the wall where she belongs. So thanks everybody, I got through it, I've painted a picture and it's definitely our dog Millie. I'm very pleased with it. I can't describe to you how this heart popping out made me feel. You can only imagine. I really hope you have a go at painting your own pet, and for all of those of you who have lost a pet, I send you much love and hugs, because it's the worst thing. And anybody out there who can paint and would offer someone a portrait of their pet, you're doing a really good thing. So if you can't paint very well, do not worry, just play with some colours and try and get the essence of your pet. And it's your pet, it's your picture, you will love it. And as I found out, my pet somehow or other managed to put herself in the picture with a beating heart, and I'm going to now watch my own video to see how the heck that happened. So take care everyone, bye for now and happy painting, lots of love, see you soon.